It's lovely to see you again. I think it's about 6 years since Ordinary Love. And congratulations
That's
on
right.
Saipan. I have to say, when I saw you were directing this film, my first reaction was, my God, that's worlds away from Ordinary Love. It's so completely different. Was that actually part of the appeal of the project for you?
Well, it's interesting because I think Lisa had the same feeling as you when the script was sent to us. The script arrived, and Lisa, I think it's fair to say, is not a football fan. And yeah, and she said the script came through, and she shouted from her office, "There's a football script that's come in. We're not making a film about football." And I said, "Well, I'll read it anyway, just to be sure." And it was from great producers who we really love. So I read it, and then I shouted back into her office. I think it's about football, but it's about a lot of other things too. So yeah.
People who love football would always say football is always about a lot of other things, I think. And you know what? That's true. One of the great things about making films is that you do get a chance to have a really deep dive into a world that you might never have had the opportunity to explore. So that's a real privilege in a way, you know, to get to kind of spend time in a space that doesn't necessarily feel like it's yours kind of naturally. So I count myself lucky to have spent a bit of time in the football world, that's for sure.
Yeah, you're sort of outside of your comfort
Hello.
zone. I mean, now that you've made it, how do you feel about it?
I'm sorry, Freda, we're just having a little bit of a glitch here with the picture. I
Okay,
don't know whether that's
let's
well, we can still hear you, so maybe that's
okay.
fine. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yes. Sorry.
So now that you've made the film, how do you feel about it?
We're really happy with it was such an exciting process making this film. We had the most amazing cast and crew. We didn't have much time in prep. We were shooting. We shot most of Japan in different locations in Ireland. So a lot of it was, we really just had to dive in and see what would happen and experience and the putting it together in the edit with all of the different archive materials. It's been a really wonderful process, and we're just starting to see it go out in festival screenings, and it's been really joyful to watch it with audiences and to see it being well received.
You partly answered one of my questions that I was thinking of, which was who's the football fan? Now, Lisa, you're obviously not. What about you, Glenn? Are you into football?
I am into football. I'm a lifelong Liverpool fan. My dad in the 1960s lived in Liverpool, so I inherited that of him. And of course, actually, when I was sort of growing up, it was at the point when Liverpool were winning everything. Of course, we went through a long period where we didn't win so much. But yes, so I'm very familiar with this story, and very familiar with Roy Keane and Mick's careers. So yes, I was quite keen to make a football film, and have very much enjoyed being in the world. We actually, as part of our festival run, we actually showed the film in Bilbao. Athletic Club in Bilbao have a film festival, and which was amazing. So Lisa got to attend her first football match. They brought us along to Athletic Club played Mallorca, and we got to see that. And then the following night, we showed the film to an audience of football fans, and it was fab. So yeah, lots of great things.
I guess for Ireland, making it to the World Cup finals in that year was a huge detail or a huge deal for them. How much of that do you remember? Because I'm wondering if it sort of divided fans at the time, and whether that could sort of resurrect itself a little bit with the film.
What? Well, it definitely, yes. I mean, it was a massive thing. I mean, Ireland had been to the World Cup a couple of times before, but being there at that time is always a massive thing. In actual fact, we're now on the eve. Just just yesterday, Ireland have qualified for the playoffs for the next World Cup. which would be the first time if they were to qualify for this next World Cup, be the first time they've been in a World Cup since Saipan, the Saipan incident. But to address your question about just about dividing families, it's very much the case that did happen. It's no exaggeration to say that there are people within families who didn't speak to each other for many years over whether they were in the Roy or Mick camp. And when this film was announced, I think there was a bit of people were saying, "Oh no, we've only just got over this. Now it's going to all come back again, and the country will be divided once again." So hopefully, with a little distance, and hopefully the film will instead of dividing people, it might bring them together, and hopefully they'll maybe, if they went in being in the Roy camp or the Mick camp, they may slightly understand what the other side maybe were feeling. So let's see how that pans out.
What would you say are the other challenges that go with making a film that's about people who are still very much around? I mean, let's face it, Roy Keane does not hold back on his opinions even now.
No, absolutely. I think, well, we've made films before. We made a film, Good Vibrations, which was about people who are still very much alive, and it's about respect. That's the kind of baseline. You've got to respect the fact that these are people who are very much around, who will have opinions, and to feel the responsibility of that, make sure that we're, taking making every effort to deal with the story responsibly. It's also a story that is so heavily covered in the public domain. There's so many news articles at the time, so much radio, so much press, so much I think 2 theatre productions made, lots of documentaries. So a lot of material that's really out there. And it was a question. So for us, telling the story was, to refer back to your previous question, it was almost as much about the story as the story, why it became such a big flashpoint in the Irish national psyche, in the global storytelling, in the story, in the kind of annals of World Cup history. What was it about this story that really fueled so much interest? And it's also about where the kind of global media was at the time, the 24-hour news cycle. So it's a really interesting piece of drama, because in this sort of slow motion collision between these 2 men on an island far from home, it provides a lens for a lot of other bigger kind of resonant themes, which is what felt really interesting.
So have either Mick or Roy actually seen the film yet, do you know?
We're not really sure. I know that we have reached out, and I think there was talk of having a screening for Mick. I'm not sure that Roy has expressed any interest in that yet. But as for whether they do or what the reactions are, that's just up to them. It's a story that's been with them through their lives, and no doubt they'll have their own opinions about whether they want to engage with or watch the film.
So what's coming next for you? Perhaps something a little less potentially controversial?
Yeah, we never shy away from controversy. To be a filmmaker, you have to be reasonably courageous to tell any story, I guess. We have a few things bubbling under. We may be in pre-production by the time this film is out. But like all independent filmmaking, these things hang in the balance until the very last minute, and you believe it when you're standing on set. So we haven't got anything we can talk about just yet. But yes, there are things bubbling under. They're not films.
Probably safe to say it's going to be something different yet again.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Yes, I don't like to be pigeonholed.
It's been lovely to talk to you again. Thank you so much for your time. And I've got to say, I'm not a football fan either. I really enjoyed Saipan.